This was a great opportunity for me to be able to address once again this distinguished audience and also to point out the very important things that I already raised only a few months ago, where most of you were also present. The conference Speak Up in Brussels gave us opportunity to discuss and to raise all these issues that we are repeating on and on again. I will not offer anything new that I didn't say already in Brussels in June, and I'm really glad that that is part of the recommendations from the European Commission and a clear sign of our cooperation, because without cooperation we cannot achieve anything. Without cooperation from the governments of the region we can also not achieve anything. So I'm really glad that I see so many friendly and dear faces around this table, but again, there are no people who are making decisions sitting here with us. And that is one of the problems that we constantly face, not only here in this country, but also countries of the region, and the way freedom of expression and freedom of the media is seen and addressed by the politicians in this region. Unfortunately, that is the reality. I cannot avoid stating this. It would be unprofessional if I would say that everything is perfect, that at the end of this conference we are going to once again say what we need to do. But what the governments are going to do is still a question mark, a big question mark that no international organization can answer by themselves. So this cooperation with the Regional Cooperation Council and all these issues that we are constantly raising is something that I will repeat once again here, but that is not going to solve the problem. Since the last time I spoke, as I said in Brussels, the media freedom situation, in a way, following the cases and interventions I had as a representative on freedom of the media, again, I have to repeat that the situation in the region worsened when it comes to media freedom. And here I'm not talking only about legislation, I'm talking about the cases of journalists in former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia being in prison. So that's the only case in the region where we have a representative of the media imprisoned and detention prolonged for a third time for the work he did. This is something that has to change now as we speak, and I do hope this is going to be the case. I received a letter from the Prime Minister, and I would use this opportunity where all of you are sitting here and the media is here to call once again the establishment, the political establishment in Macedonia to release Tomislav Kajarovski immediately. He should not be sitting in prison for the work he did. There are other cases, but I will not use your time to repeat over and over again, because there are many problems and types of problems that media outlets and media professionals face, and the overall situation is not improving. This should ring alarm bells, as I said many times, in Vienna, where my office is, in Strasbourg, and in Brussels, as much as it should be a wake-up call in all the capitals of the Western Balkan. Let us recall that international agreements are not a choice, they are an obligation of participating governments. This is severe, what is happening, but in theory we know what needs to be done, since other societies in transition, many of which are now members of the European Union, have gone through similar experiences. And in addition to bringing the entire legal framework in line with European and international standards, I believe that constant reminders by the European Commission, Council of Europe, OSCE, RCC, not to mention all these wonderful and courageous NGOs like Friedrich Herbert Stiftung, like Internews, all these people that are coming here and that are present and trying to help the civil society. But what we have, once again, we have governments not doing anything. So this is a message I would like to repeat here over and over again. What we need to discuss, what we need to see, is a good will, a political will by the states that present Western Balkans in order to change something. There is no need for the new laws that will bring more control to the societies, the new laws that will bring more restrictions, the new laws that will bring more suppression. So what we have is sometimes wonderful laws, but zero implementation. Or the laws are used in order to further restrict free expression and freedom of the media in the Western Balkans. This region did enormous steps forward with the help of international community. Enormous amount of money has been put in many projects. This is still happening. We also have to be very realistic to say that there are problems within civil society and journalist associations that are not doing enough in order to protect dignity and professionalism of this very noble and important profession. But at the same time, as a representative on freedom of the media, of course, I have to once again remind the governments that are not doing enough or not doing anything in order to change this really embarrassing situation, if I can call it this way. There are institutions that were established in this region in the past 10 to 15 years, like independent regulators, public service broadcaster. Many countries, they decriminalize defamation, like Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina. There are countries that are also moving in this direction. But again, we have hundreds and hundreds of cases that are mainly started by the politicians or public figures that are trying to bring journalists to prison or to pay enormous fine for being critical. What we also need to realize in this region that public figures need to have much higher level of tolerance when it comes to criticism. It's their position the moment they enter public offices, and they need to protect this, to have very higher tolerance than any ordinary person that is asking for clarification in those cases. So what we have at the moment, when it comes to legislation, quite good situation. The laws should be amended, and this academy is a wonderful opportunity for this kind of changes and possibilities for people that are experts to be engaged and to try to help certain commissions of the parliaments that should be working with these experts. But unfortunately, that is not happening in most of the states of the Western Balkan. So maybe this should be a call by us here today, or at the end of this conference, to say how important it is that parliaments and the commissions of the parliaments work with people that are experts and that can explain to them in which direction we have to go when it comes to standards of European Union and not to mention international standards and all these wonderful conventions and recommendations that the governments that are calling themselves democratic should respect. I will conclude by emphasizing once again that the situation must change, and it must change immediately. And to make it happen, all that is necessary is to use the phrase again, the political will to make it happen. Is this going to happen? I don't know. This is something that all of us would like to see. There is, as I said, no need for many new laws. There is no need for new intense work of additional fact-finding commissions and complex regulations that govern conduct. We know what we need to do. We also have to be very realistic and honest. It is time for the countries to act, to show the will to embrace democratic values in order to start solving the problems. Governments must realize that the only way forward is hands off the media. And this is something that I will once again repeat, hands off media. It is also important to point out to journalists and media workers that it is not enough to say hands off the media. You must continue to strive for the highest professionalism. I know that this is not an easy task, and I know that it's particularly important when there is a very problematic economic situation and when you are continually suppressed or even threatened in some countries, but there is no other way. Again, what we aim here today is not a job that my organization can do, or RCC, or the Commission, or the Council of Europe. We need to act together with the full support and understanding and cooperation by the governments of the Western Balkans. From here, I'm traveling to Vienna, and after that, we will have a third conference that my office is organizing in the region. As you probably remember, we started 2 years ago here in Sarajevo. Then we had a conference last year in Belgrade, Serbia. We are now having a conference from the 18th to 20th of September in Tirana, where we will probably address the same issues and repeat the same old story. I'm very happy to go to Tirana. There is a absolutely tremendous cooperation by the Albanian government that I would like to mention here as exemplary when it comes to organizational issues and the way country is approaching our conference and the results that we are aiming at. We will have in October, at the very beginning, CIMO conference that is also happening in this very place, and we will probably once again repeat the same old story. But what is going to happen meantime, and what the governments of the Western region are going to do, I do not know. I can only assure you that I will raise my voice over and over again publicly to say if I see that there are breaches of the international standards that all these countries voluntarily agreed to follow. We must work together. We must build bridges because our shared values are at stake in this region. And while defining the future, it is very important to bear in mind that the role of the media is vital in generating the democratic culture. This is the final aim of our right to free speech, and we should never forget this. Thank you very much.